Now we are starting to reach a very exciting period for the sports card hobby, especially for the 2021 NBA draft class with big products like Prizm and National Treasures finally being released. So in today's video, I'm going to answer the question of which players am I looking to invest in from the 2021 NBA draft class. What's going on, guys? Matt here, back again with another video. So this class was really hyped leading up to the draft, and so far it has not disappointed. I think you've got some really nice talent from top to bottom, and like I said, with Prizm being released recently and other big products to come, there's no better time to highlight a few players that I'm eyeing off. I am going to avoid the obvious players like Cade, Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, and Scotty Barnes, for example, because I do want to make this fun. Let's get straight into it, and the first player that I am looking at is a personal favorite of mine, and that's Alperen Sengun from the Houston Rockets. Sengun was taken at pick number 16 in the draft, which was originally owned by the OKC Thunder and traded to Houston right before the pick. I still remember a lot of OKC fans were unhappy at this as they thought Sengun could potentially fit in with their team. But as a Houston fan, I am stoked because I just love the way this guy plays. He follows a similar career path to Luka Doncic, who won the MVP in the EuroLeague, by also winning MVP of the Turkish League at the age of 18, which is a couple of tier levels below the EuroLeague. And as I said before, I am a Houston fan, but I also think I am a realist when it comes to my thoughts on the team, and a lot of my observations coming up are from watching our games over looking at statistics. In his rookie season, Sengun played 20 minutes a game and averaged just under 10 points a game with 5.5 rebounds, 2.6 steals, and just a tick under 1 block and steal per game. Keep in mind, this was mainly playing behind Christian Wood, who has since been dealt to the Dallas Mavericks, which is essentially placed Sengun as the starting center next season. Now in doing so, I am anticipating a slight statistical bump in Sengun's stats next season. And look, only a small sample size, but in the 11 games that he didn't play with Wood last season, he did average 13.2 points and 8.7 rebounds per game. Now I did torture myself last season and watch a lot of Houston's losing games last season, and in saying so, I'm not fussed about Alperen Sengun's statistics because it has to do with his amazing play style. I've said this to numerous people before, and I highly recommend you do so after this video is finished and really look up his highlights from his rookie season. For someone that was usually coming off the bench and only playing 20 minutes a game, his mixtape would rival most players from the league, and his playstyle is very unique, and I'd even compare him to current MVP Nikola Jokic. The reason I compare to Jokic is that they're both big men who can play that point center position with their playmaking ability. Obviously, Jokic is much better in a lot of categories, and especially with his shooting, but I think there's something still to build on for Sengun. He's a little bit more back to the basket compared to Jokic, and his post moves even had LeBron fooled a couple of times when they did play each other early in the season. And he's someone as a teammate that I would want the ball in their hands because you just know that he'll find you in the right situation. Now we know that having a very flashy and unique play style will always bode well for highlights and media attention, and that can have a direct correlation to sports card prices. I have just spoken about why I love Sengun after watching him during the season, and like I've said before, I am a realist and I will note a couple of weaknesses in his game. So defensively, his stats are solid, but he is still quite slow and he has heavy feet, which may leave him exposed against the quicker centers. Along with that, he did average 3 fouls a game in only 20 minutes, which is a bit concerning, but I will give him a little bit of a leash considering how young he is and noting how quicker the league is compared to Turkey. I have been eyeing his Prizms off, but I am still waiting for their prices to slowly drop, and I think you can't go wrong in time with his team colored red Prizm numbered to $2.99, and currently that goes for around $80. Up next, and he's fresh off getting the ring with the Golden State Warriors, and that's Moody. Sometimes when it comes to sports card investing, you can do all the research in the world to find the next hot prospect out there. But really, why waste all that time when you can invest in a team's front office? I think we can safely say that the Golden State Warriors have one of the best front offices and ownership in the league, which has led them to winning 4 championships in the past 7 seasons, largely built off their team having draft success, of course excluding the signing of Kevin Durant. The obvious highlights are their big 3 in Steph Curry, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, but they've also done well in finding value in their later picks with players like Kevon Looney and Jordan Poole. Because of how successful the Warriors have been over the past period, they have very rarely ever had lottery picks, with their first lottery pick since 2012 being James Wiseman in 2020. Moody was picked at number 14 last season and had a small role with the Warriors, only playing 11 minutes a game and also playing a small portion of the season in the G League. He finished the season with averages of 4.4 points, 1.5 rebounds and 0.4 assists, but again, you got to remember that he did play a small role. His efficiency was quite good for a rookie, and he will look to build upon that next season. Now you might be thinking, why am I investing in Moses Moody over their number 7 pick, Jonathan Kuminga? There is a few reasons for this, and firstly, I think next season the role for Moody will be greater than Kuminga, and their coach Steve Kerr even highlighted this recently, saying that he does think that he's more ready based on his role and fit on the current team. The Warriors did lose a fair few championship players, including Gary Payton II and Otto Porter, and Moody does fill those gaps in a little bit easier than Kuminga with his 3-and-D playstyle. I also just think that Kuminga's card prices are a little bit ridiculous, and with a minor role again next season, they will fall even further. Moody himself isn't really cheap either, and he's another one I would be waiting a bit to buy into, but his blue Prizm number to 199 went for $150, which is much lower than Kuminga's, which went for $455. I think in the coming years, the Warriors will continue to develop their youth very well, and once the big three retire or move on, you will potentially have a nice winning core to move on to. Lastly, let's go towards the Eastern Conference to find some more value with another big man in Isaiah Jackson from the Indiana Pacers. Jackson at 19 years old was taken at pick number 22 by the Pacers and was largely considered to be a more long-term project type of player, which was in contrast to their earlier pick Chris Duarte, who was 24 years old at the time of his draft. His player profile is similar to a lot of trendy big men that we do see around in the league in being extremely athletic and also having that high motor to get up and down the court. Now you might be thinking to yourselves, why would we buy into a big man when guards are the way to go? And to that I would bring up one of the more impactful players in the NBA playoffs this season in Robert Williams III on the Boston Celtics. The Time Lord was one of the hottest players in the sports card hobby during the playoffs, but if you look at his stats on face value, you'd be wondering a little bit why. He only averaged 7.7 points and 6.2 rebounds during the playoffs, but he also did average an impressive 2.2 blocks per game. His length and defense were important factors in helping the Celtics gain their defensive identity leading into the NBA Finals. In saying so, I think you can have a nice comparison with Isaiah Jackson and Williams in really athletic guys who can alter shots with their length. They do play different positions though, and Jackson probably has better offensive potential. He does have that ability to shoot the three-pointer, and he shot 16 three-pointers and made 5 last season. He finished the season with averages of 8.3 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 1.4 blocks in only 15 minutes of playing time, which isn't that bad for a rookie who is considered to be a long-term project. Now the Pacers are rebuilding, and the last potential trade piece they are holding on to is in the depth chart ahead of Jackson in Miles Turner. He's probably been the player that has been featured in trade rumors the most over the past couple of seasons in the league, and I do think a trade is coming soon as he doesn't fit in their plans. Regardless, for the time that Turner does stay, he will provide great mentoring for Jackson, as he has been a league leader in blocks a couple of times, along with being a solid shooter. I also question Jackson's fit with another young big man on their team that I've spoken about recently in Jalen Smith. Jackson has been shown to fit the power forward role a little bit better, and Smith had great success in the small ball center position last season. It is easy to say that they will work together, but my question is whether it will lead to a leading formula in the future. I'm sure the Pacers will use this season to identify whether that is the case or not, and eventually move on or keep each player. He's the cheapest out of the 3 players at the moment, with his red Prizm number to $299 selling in that $10 to $20 range. It'll be great to revisit this video in a year's time, so do let me know your thoughts down below. More content coming out soon, but if you want to have a bit of a laugh at my expense, make sure you do check out my latest PSA submission videos linked down below. Appreciate you guys as always, and I'll see you all in future videos. Take care.